Hi, so if you're not familiar with me, I am Sam, better known as Kill.the.Lights, and I broke my arm in July. It is September, and as of 2 days ago, I was cleared as having been fully healed. Breaking a wrist is a really interesting endeavor. I needed surgery in order to fix the damage. It was really nerve-wracking, particularly for me being a compulsive hand washer. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that as I, work on a little project of mine. So I originally broke my wrist by slipping in my kitchen, which my mother has always said that your kitchen is one of the most dangerous places in your house. She's right. I slipped, and when I fell, I went to grab the refrigerator door and the countertop. I grabbed the fridge, but the fridge door opened on me. So then I'm on a hinge. I can't catch the countertop. My hand continues to travel downwards, and I land all of my weight on one singular point of contact. And I actually consciously remember thinking, if I land on my wrist like this, I'm going to break it. I can't do that. Well, I did, so. And I did this pretty late at night, so I did not want to go to the emergency room. I live in the United States. Going to the emergency room is something that I would have been paying off for a long time, and I could not afford to do that. So I told my mom, no, it's fine. We'll go to the walk-in clinic that's at the edge of the county tomorrow morning if I'm still feeling bad, because I was very much in denial about having broke my wrist. So we went, and it was a very long wait, because walk-in clinics always are. And they put me in the x-ray machine, and I remember being in so much pain. Like, the drive there, my mom actually asked me if I was okay, because I kept making sounds of pain while we were driving. And just vibrations from the car running hurt. Like, physically hurt a lot. And then we had to sit there and wait for several hours, because we were not the only person that, thought, oh yeah, I'll just go first thing in the morning. And a lot of the people were there because they were sick or something, and I'm probably the only one there that is sitting there holding my wrists and in pain. And my mother gave me some ibuprofen while we were waiting because it got really bad and I was starting to swell really bad. The ibuprofen really didn't help the swelling all that much, like, grand scheme of things. But so I'm in a lot of pain, which means I'm in a very bad mood, and I am ranting and raving, and if I wasn't in so much pain, I probably would have punched something because I was very, very angry. So finally they take us back, at which point it's been 2 to 3 hours, which, to be honest, isn't that bad considering how many people they had. And they take me back, and this nurse is really nice, like, in retrospect, but I was just in a very bad mood. Takes my x-ray, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna go check to make sure they turned out well so we don't have to take him again. And he leaves, and he doesn't come back for a while, which, I'm in pain. I'm upset. Not coming back when I'm in pain is not a good idea. And then the doctor comes in after he takes me back to my room. The doctor's like, okay, well, show me what you can do. And at the time, even with the broken wrist, I could move forward, I could move back, I could move to the sides, but I could not rotate my wrist at all. And the doctor actually says, well, I don't think you broke your wrist, so I'm gonna go out and check your x-rays. And as soon as he walked out, he came back in within 5-10 seconds. And as soon as he came in, you knew I broke my wrist, because he does this routine. So you broke your wrist! And they didn't show me the x-ray because they didn't have the infrastructure in the clinic, but I did see it later when I was at the actual bone doctor, and it was bad. It was really quite bad, because I had essentially a chip out of my wrist. It was not pretty. The same nurse wraps my arm up, and he tells me before he wraps my arm up, this is going to make the pain go away. It's going to make it so much better. And I didn't believe him. But trust me, as soon as he put that compression bandage on, it was amazing. It took away so much of the pain. Like, I went from being like, I can't move my wrist at all because it hurts. I can't even breathe without it hurting, to, this is fine. I feel fine. Do I even need to go to the doctor? And I called the doctor, not only the same doctor that the nurse had recommended, but the one that my mother had seen a year prior after she broke her finger. She literally broke her middle finger. It was funny if it wasn't, something causing her severe pain. So I called this doctor, and they managed to get me in the next day. So I broke my arm Monday night. I went to the walk-in clinic Tuesday. I was in with the bone doctor on Wednesday. The bone doctor I went to specialized specifically in hands and wrists, which is so good now that I think about it, because we walked in and we were expecting, what color cast should we get? How am I going to deal with not being able to wash my hands? How am I going to be able to cope with the feeling of being constrained? Because I don't deal well with any of those things. And we go in and the doctor says, "So, do you plan on using your right hand a lot?" I'm an English major. I'm an artist. My right hand is my dominant hand. So yes. And the doctor was like, "Okay, well, in that case, we're going to need to do surgery." And he even said flat out, "Well, you can opt out of surgery, but you are looking at more pain later." And I can't do that. I can't put my mobility at risk based on I don't want to spend this money right now, because I had the money in my savings because I've been saving all of my money since I was born. Apparently I was the boring kid that put all of my birthday money in my savings account, and other kids didn't do that, but I did. So, and internally I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna have to make this work. And he was like, "Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put a metal plate in your wrist. We're probably gonna have to do incisions on the inside and outside of your wrist. Don't know how long it's gonna be. And we'll probably want to do a carpal tunnel release while we're at it." I'm like, "What?" And then I'm telling my mom, "I was expecting a carpal tunnel at some point in my life, but I wasn't expecting surgery for this, and I feel so stupid," and all that. And the doctor stops me and he says, "Do you have any numbness or tingling?" And if you saw my original video where I'm freaking out about this, I talked about how my thumb was completely numb. I couldn't feel it at all. That would be carpal tunnel caused by the fracture. It's very common with wrist and hand injuries. So, jazz hands, he was taking it seriously. I just didn't understand him because he wasn't very clear. So we go forward, we schedule my surgery, and at the time I was just getting into talking to my estranged father again. This is an instance where he showed up for me. He was there the day of my surgery. He actually paid for the surgery center itself, which I was incredibly grateful for. So yeah, if my dad ever sees this, which he probably won't, thank you, Dad. They called me on Friday to say that they had scheduled my surgery. They called me 3 days before the surgery to tell me the expected down payment, and then they called me the day before the surgery to tell me what time I had to be there. And they're like, "Okay, so you can take your medications the morning of." I'm like, "I don't take any medications in the morning. I take them all at night because that's more conducive to my lifestyle. The times I go to bed is more consistent than the times I wake up." And that was it. And I made sure to wear really comfy clothes. I have a specific shirt that is actually a hand-me-down from my brother that I wear to all of my surgeries. I wore it to my wisdom teeth surgery, and I wore it to this because it's really nice and comfy and light and loose. And the nurses were really nice. When I first went back, they asked me to confirm my name, what the surgery I was having was, all that fun stuff. And then because I am of reproductive age, they made me do a pregnancy test, and they make you do that regardless. Was taken back, and I was actually in 18, like they had each of the beds numbered, and I was in bed 18. Most of the people that were there were older than me. We had some people in for colonoscopies. One guy was in for an amputation, and I was in for the wrist surgery. And when they had me take off my clothes to put on the dressing gown, I actually had to request help because I could not put my shoes in the bag they gave me because I couldn't hold the bag open and lift my shoes. I couldn't do both at the same time, which was unfortunate. That drove me insane, not being able to do things on my own. And one of the things they did was they explained what they were going to do, and I asked a lot of questions, and they were very good about answering me. I was also very compulsive about thanking them, so they probably appreciated me more than some more difficult, patients, which admittedly were all there for surgery. It's a time. And they were going to put me under general anesthesia, but before that, they actually put a block in my arm. And what a block is they actually inject something into the nerve to essentially cut off all feeling for 24 to 48 hours. If that sounds impressive and scary, that is because it is. And they had to put in an IV, a blood pressure cuff, all of that stuff. The problem came when they put in the IV. Because apparently, like my father, I have very deep veins in the back of my hand, so they actually ended up having to put my IV in right here, which hurts a lot. So, and then they take off my splint, and this was the second splint I had. And I had cried multiple times about my wrists before it came off, and I burst into tears again in the surgery center. I was having a really hard time with the concept of, you know, getting surgery done on my wrist and being scarred somewhere visible. Because I've had surgery before, but none of it left a scar that is visible to me. Like, when you have stitches in your mouth, you don't have to look inside your mouth. They had the anesthesiologist come back and talk to me, and me, I've always woken up under anesthesia, so I flat out told him, look, I've been under general anesthesia once, twilight anesthesia one other time. Both times I've woken up in the middle of the surgery. He's like, okay, I will make sure that you stay out. I did stay out. I don't remember anything after they put that block in me. Nothing. Like, I vaguely remember being really cold and asking for a blanket, and they put a blanket over me. And then when I woke up, apparently I shake after surgery like my mom shakes. So they had like a heater on me and everything because I was just uncontrollably shaking. And I was really shaky after the surgery. That's probably just, it's normal with the anesthesia, so it's nothing to worry about. I had to get 2 nurses to help me redress. Then they took me out to recovery. They gave me a cookie and some apple juice and went over my care instructions. And then they walked me out to my car where my mom and dad were waiting. And my dad came home with us and we got my medication, which they gave me a combination of hydrocodone and acetaminophen. Honestly, they probably could have given me the straight hydrocodone with how much pain I was in later. But yeah, and like I said, they put a block in me, so I'm just sitting here with like my arm in a sling, like. And this thing, I wanted to take a video after I had my surgery, but I never did. The thing they put me in was massive. Like, it was soft too, which was really unfortunate, but it was massive. So yeah, even though it was so big, my mother accidentally hit my wrist a couple times and that hurt so bad. So we get home. I still have the block in. I started taking the hydrocodone. I started taking it about 12 hours before I knew the block was going to wear off because I could start feeling some tingliness in the arm. And let me tell you, when that block did wear off, breaking my wrist was the worst pain I'd ever experienced. And this topped it. I was literally uncontrollably screaming because of how much pain I was in, which is completely normal. How's that for terrifying? So my mother, you know, panicking, calls the doctor and they explain, oh no, the pain she's in is normal. Don't worry about it. Just make sure she takes the pain medicine. Yeah, I was at hour 2. I had just taken pain medicine. I was in the middle of it. By the time that pain medicine wore off, though, I was back to normal. And the next round totally kicked that pain out of the park. So that's good, at least. My mother also, because she's a very smart cookie, took a few days off of work after my surgery. She took the day of my surgery off and she took the day after my surgery off. The first 2 days after my surgery, I really couldn't fend for myself at all, and I needed her help for a lot of stuff. So the luxury of her being able to stay home with me during that was irreplaceable. Then the week after the surgery, which was actually less than a week, they put me in a cast, and I got a black cast, which is actually, you can see it in my one video where I do all of my makeup with only the one hand, including opening packaging, mind you, which was a trip. And then I was in the cast, and it was so itchy, and it was actually a little bit loose, I found out later. It didn't feel loose to me, but it was. One thing that I did learn was alcohol for the stink, like rubbing alcohol, 70% or higher, and if it itches, tap on the cast, and it completely removes that itch. Much more effective than trying to dig under your cast. And I got my cast off on the 3rd of September. So I was in a splint or cast or in some way restrained from July 27th to September 3rd. So over a full month. And let me tell you, just having that metal plate in my wrist removed almost all the pain I felt. Like, I was still a little bit sore, but it removed almost all the pain completely. When they put my cast on, they also took out my 3 stitches. I had a stitch over the carpal tunnel incision and each end of the actual incision that they put my plate in, which luckily they only needed 1 incision. You can kind of see it here. It's still very pink, but it's flattened out nicely. And the thing is, after every visit, I would have to get an x-ray. I got an x-ray at the walk-in clinic. I got an x-ray, I don't know if I got an x-ray on the Wednesday after though, because it was so recent. I got an x-ray when they put my cast on, and I got an x-ray when I got my cast off, and I got an x-ray at my most recent appointment when they cleared me as, okay, you're completely healed. Honestly, I think one of the most disgusting things was when my cast first came off. Because I had swelled up so much, I had shedded really bad, like my skin had just peeled off in sheets on my fingers and my thumb. The stuff under the cast couldn't do that, so it was really gross. Also, when they actually took off the cast, it wasn't like, okay, we're going to send you on your way and you're absolutely fine. Because like I said, I got my cast off on the 3rd. I didn't have my final appointment until the 24th of September. They had me wearing a brace throughout the rest of that in order to ensure that I didn't re-injure myself. I was pretty much deemed, okay, you're most of the way healed. Not, you're completely healed, go nuts. And then I had my first physical therapy appointment. And the thing is I came out of the cast feeling really good and with most of my range of motion, actually. So when I went to see my physical therapist for the first time, she was testing my range of motion, and her eyes about bugged right out of her skull because she asked me to do this. Doop, doop. Hey, I'm feeling great. Yeah, I did it that quick. Well, when you expect your patients to be a little bit hurt, that is not what you expect. Throughout my time in the cast and the splints, I made sure to continue stretching my fingers and moving my elbow and shoulder, which helped me from stiffening up there. I'm gonna go wash my hands real quick. Pretty much the only thing that I still am having trouble with is bending my wrist back. Originally, I was only about here, so I am getting better. My physical therapist gave me several stretches to do. More than anything, I cannot stress enough how important it is to keep your fingers moving as much as possible while you're in the cast. That improves so much. Please, if you're ever in a cast, make sure you do your exercises for your own sake. Also, physical therapy is supposed to hurt you. It's unfortunate, but you're literally paying them to stretch you in ways that it doesn't feel like your body is supposed to stretch anymore. But trust me, doing this hurts, but it doesn't bother me as much as not being able to bend my wrist. Also, if you're squidgy about scars, you might not be good about this, but you gotta massage the scar as soon as they give you the okay. For me, I'm supposed to go up and down, across, and then counterclockwise and clockwise. That will help so much with not only breaking up the scar tissue so you don't have one of those really rough looking scars, but also minimizing the appearance, making it heal faster and better. Now, if you absolutely just don't want to touch it at all and you don't do this, you can always go to a dermatologist. So now I'm going to put up some pictures of, the nasty little incision all the way through. So if you don't like that, please, I will give you a verbal warning when you can come back. And now it's safe. I hope this either calmed you or at least told you what to expect if you are facing a broken wrist. I wish you the best of luck getting better for that. And if you're just here for my wonderful personality, make sure to like this video if you liked it. Comment if you have something to say. And subscribe and ring that bell to keep up with all my endeavors into makeup, gaming, and general geekery. Or, the wacky stuff that happens in my life. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Hey, wait. Did you think we were done? Oh, no. We weren't done. So, as I said, I had surgery. And unfortunately, due to my injury, I lost my job. They kept me on as long as possible before the company finally said, you know what, we can't keep that person on the payroll anymore, and shuffled me on out with the opportunity of rehire. So, in order to help offset both the cost of my surgery and the fact that I've lost the job, I'm doing some things. So one, I'm doing some limited time, Halloween and fall merchandise because that's fun. Two, I am also selling some of my art as wallpaper backgrounds, if anyone's interested in that. I mean, I think they're pretty cool. I use them on my own computer because I love them, so. And also, before I forget to mention, I am also doing my Halloween event this year. So last year I did my nameless Halloween event, which has henceforth been renamed Halloweek, just because, it's convenient. But yes, Halloweek will be running for 5 business days before Halloween. And yes, I realize how funny it is that I'm doing a special event which only takes place for 5 business days. I hope you guys will tune into that because I am so excited. This year's theme is vampires, because if you watched my zombies video, I can't wait for murderous vampires to get back on the scene where they're just evil and just kill people and aren't like romantic leads, because I'm sick of romantic lead vampires. Anyway, all my social medias, as always, are below, as well as on my channel page, and hope to see you next time. Bye.